What's up, Taylor?
Ready? Alrighty. Let's see if we can get into this. How you doing today?
I am awesome. How are you?
Dude, I'm feeling pretty bossed up right now. Just listen to Strutter for like the 15th time today. It's pretty cool, pretty like definitely like roots like solid to its roots.
Thank you.
Yeah, so speaking of roots, you want to talk to us about how the band got started and like who does what and who's who?
Alrighty, so the band started in 2018. I had been playing guitar for about a year, and
Okay.
I got one of my buddies, who we've been friends for like 2 or 3 years at that point. I got him to start playing bass, and then we just started playing, like easy songs there, like Seven Nation Army stuff,
Yeah.
stupid stuff like that. And then about a year later, we added Michael Parker on drums, and we did the trio there. We did have a singer, Thomas, but he's no longer with the band.
Okay.
And then we reformed with our new singer, Cohen. And then we recently added a rhythm guitarist, Marshall Carlisle, just to add another backbone to the band.
Yeah.
Give us a bigger sound.
I feel that. So as of right now, like how does the chemistry work? Because there's been obviously like 2 years, I'd say. We're still in January. To kind of like get to where we are now. So can you talk to me about how?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Me and Chris we're definitely just on the same wavelength. Like me and him I can start ending a song and then he can immediately think of how I'm gonna do it too. It's just like that. It's
Okay.
like a twin that like thing together. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. So there's like that just like already spark that you guys have already had.
Yeah.
I see that. Was that like something that formed in those years, or was it already like just pre-existing? Was there already like some sort of musical aspect between your friendship?
So I had been into rock music about like a year and a half longer than he was, and then as I started getting into it, he started listening to it.
Okay.
So then we just had, and then it just we think the same. We have the same favorite band. We're two of a kind, really.
Yeah, I like that. In previous interviews, we've talked about how important it is to like have that bond within the music. So it's not so much work; it's more so just homies having fun.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
our whole goal.
And speaking of which, what is your favorite band? What got you started?
Well, my current favorite was Nirvana,
Okay.
and because it was just like their songs are very simple to play on guitar. So beginner guitar, that was like my favorite thing, just to learn a lot of easy stuff. And wait, hold on. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
My current favorite band is Kiss, and Chris's favorite band is Kiss as well. His is
Okay.
Metallica.
Oh, okay. So when you were like younger, how old were you when you first picked up the guitar?
It was about 3 years ago, so I was about like 12, 13. I think I was turning 13 that year.
Any particular reason why, like, you wanted to pursue guitar? Is it just because the rock always encapsulated you?
Well, I had grown up with rock because my mom likes AC/DC. My stepdad listens to rock as well, but I remember I was watching a Kurt Cobain Funko Pop video on YouTube, and I was like, he's got a guitar. That looks kind of cool, so I figured I'd try it too.
Yeah. Any reason why like Nirvana and Kurt Cobain like really like resonated with you besides just the simple rhythms?
I think what it was is it was the energy, because like you can make a song and it have no effect on people, but when you make consistent songs with effect on people, that makes you like them. And that Nirvana was just raw energy, and I think that's what I find
they always
most
had that
good.
consistent energy to their songs and like really helped resonate with their fans and everything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So your current like, you talked to us about Strutter and it was a cover, right?
Yes, it was a Kiss cover.
It was a Kiss cover. How is that? Was that your first time like performing with your band as of right now?
That so that was recorded actually before we had Marshall. That was recorded about in August,
Okay.
and we got Marshall around November. That's
Okay.
why he's not on the cover.
Oh, I understand. Shout out Marshall.
But
Sorry. So what happened? Describe the process of that. Like, how do practices usually work out?
so Strutter was actually the first song we ever, all four of the first four members played,
Oh
like
wow.
together. So like yeah, me, Michael, and Chris we were just sitting, we were just waiting because like I was like, hey guys, I think I found a singer. We can try him out because I was handing out flyers and stuff,
Okay.
and sending them everywhere I could. I was like, I think this guy might work, and so he answered it, and I remember him pulling into the driveway. I was like, okay, we're gonna do Strutter first, and we're gonna see how that goes because if we can't do a Kiss song, it's kind of going down because all of us love Kiss.
Yeah.
So and then Michael starts with the drum thing, and it's just like it flowed, like it was
That's
just like
good.
no one was off time, everyone knew everything. It was just like it was like one of those like movie moments,
Yeah, those things that like you could that like it's so good you're never gonna get back, but like you just always go back to that memory, like just think back on that day. But
Yeah, it
that's
was like
so
I was out
cool.
of body like watching it.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. Do you guys do like do you guys like record like video record your band like your band practices
A
for
good
reference?
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Yeah, oh
definitely
yeah.
good. Good practice.
Yeah.
Good practice to get into, especially like when even if you guys like somehow do get off a key or just like let's say you're doing a video or something. It's good to have those BTS footage because it's cool to like kind of
Oh yeah.
humanize with your fans and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but also, what are you guys working on now? From my understanding, there's a new single coming out.
Yeah, so right now we're working on our first original. The
Okay.
title is Crash and Burn.
Ooh.
So we're currently working on that. We're almost done with the instrumentation, lyrics have been written, all that stuff. So that's being worked on, and the recording date is set in February, and the release date is near the end of March.
Okay. Okay. Can you talk to us about what's crashing and what's burning? What's the title about?
So I think this is one of every band has like that song that just doesn't make sense. It's not like about something. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like an idea. And it's just
Mhm.
like words, like rambling words. And it's a very Motorhead driven song. Fast drums, a loud guitar. Heavy
Yeah.
bass. It's just like we wanted our first original thing to be like something that would blow someone away, not someone like not a mediocre song.
Yeah. You guys wanted to like definitely like blow the water for your first official like single.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So this you've talked about the music, but what's the vibe of the song? Like how would it be like mosh pit type of rager or like mosh pit type of drums and bass, or just
Oh,
like
I think more like a devil horns in the air kind of
okay,
thumper.
yeah, just rocking out with the homies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. What other things are you guys like doing in the future as of right now or right now?
So currently, we have a lot of lyric songs. I mostly write the songs. I present the ideas to the boys, and then we just like run off each other. Like, okay, I think this works. Maybe we should change this.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So we got plenty of songs written, a lot of riffs going. So our kind of thing is just like we don't want to have like two, three songs going at once because then they blend together.
Yeah.
So you just want to have like one and then finish it and then just move on.
Mhm.
That's kind of what the goal is.
I like that. So speaking of talking about like what you guys do individually, describe your role as lead guitarist.
So you would think like the lead guitarist, like I'm always doing something flashy, but that's not the case. 90% of my playing on stage and practice whenever I'm playing a rhythm. You
Yeah.
know, I get like maybe like those 30 seconds to really like show off, but
Mhm.
I'm just adding a backbone to the band, really.
Exactly, and that's what it is. That's in a band. There's never one person. It's all together, all one harmony.
Oh yeah, and there are those lead guitarists that just like the whole song they're just doing their thing, and they don't go anywhere, and there's a reason why they're not a band. They're a lead guitarist with three other guys playing.
A band is like it. There's got to be a family aspect to it. That
Oh yeah.
that appreciation for one another and building off of each other, like you said. So
Definitely.
as far as songwriting goes, how does that work? What's your like? Do you have a rhythm that you get into as you're writing a song, or how do you get the inspiration to write those songs?
So I think like anyone writing songs, you have the people you like, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to make music like the people you like, but your own thing. So I always, if I'm feeling in the mood to write something, I'll go listen to just like what I normally do. I just scroll through my playlist, press a random song, and be like, okay, and just like kind of get like an idea in my head.
Yeah.
Not necessarily rip it off, but just like, okay, this song's kind of about this. So like, how can I interpret that in my own way?
Exactly. Like, and art is all based upon interpretation. There's no definition for any sort of art, music especially, because everybody interprets things differently.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything that you got like that you particularly do in order to get yourself prepared for a song? As far as like your physical like routines, do you like pace around the your room for a little bit, or do you just sit down and write?
So my process for writing is I like doing it on a notebook rather than my phone
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy to replace a mistake, but sometimes your mistakes are good and you want to have that reference back. So
Mm-hmm.
what I normally do is I do a quick brain dump, like just like stuff I could write a song about. Then I grab a guitar and I just kind of like I usually the riff comes first
Yeah.
because you can't really write a melody line without something, to go along with. So the riff comes first, and then I just kind of get to thinking like a little like a drum beat in my head, nothing like complex, just like what tempo the song's gonna be at,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just, I don't figure out notes in my head. I just kind of write down stuff that I think goes with the riff. That's usually what Cohen does. He'll take them home and just like hum to himself, and just like find out what works, like what words or syllables should be like accented or what
Okay.
notes should be carried out.
So I actually got a question in the comments. A few things in the comments. From Chill Trooper. Yeehaw Bryson. I don't know who that is. You know who that is?
I'm not sure I do.
um and Gene Simmons is a demigod. That's comes from the Three Best Friends.
Oh yeah, Gene Simmons is the god walking. Yeah.
And then we also got a question. Do melodies or lyrics come first?
That's a really good question. Probably a more like an artist maybe who's been doing this a lot longer than I have could answer that better. But I've never really written a song with like humming like a melody in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll write words and I usually write words and then I'm just like, okay, if it's like in this rhythm, it'll work. If it's not,
Yeah.
So I would say words come first,
Words
but
come
other people
first?
tell you different because everyone writes a song a different way. That's what makes us musicians.
Exactly. That's how everybody has their individuality as far as spontaneous things when it comes to writing music. So
Yeah.
I guess a better question would be, do you play the chords in your riff first before you write your lyrics?
Yes, I do. I usually so constructing a rock song, it's not just like, strumming an acoustic guitar. You want to have a hook guitar wise and a hook lyrically wise.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz like I could just like start a song off with just words. And, people might like that, but you want that like opening thing to be okay, that's a cool guitar riff. And then if the words get even cooler than the guitar riff, then you got them hooked.
Exactly. That's all fine. But yeah, no, I definitely feel what you're saying. So as far as what comes next, as far as like after you've done the songwriting, how does production go? How do we get the band together in order to get on one accord with the song?
So, before we record anything, practice makes perfect. So, I would never go into a studio and try to write a song in there. Some
Mm-hmm.
bands do that, and most of the time they don't like the song and the outcome because most times they're pushed by their record label to get like one more song,
Yeah.
But our thing is, so I will show up to practice with the lyric sheet. Cohen will give it a look over, and then the first thing I do is I go to Michael and I start playing riff. I'm like, okay, just like give me something to work off of. And then once we find something that works there, I turn to Chris and Marshall. And I'm like, okay, here's what I'm playing. And then they start adding their layer to it. And it's just like, it starts building onto each other.
Okay, so there's not like really a you do this or you do that thing. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
it's kind of like literally you're going around each person in the circle and say, hey, this is what I've got. Let's see what you can bring onto this, and vice versa.
Exactly.
That's super cool because it's really like that bubble effect. Like, I imagine like somebody like bouncing off different bubbles and things, and after you hit that bubble, it kind of like just have like different pace and stuff like blending in together, and like you said, building off of each other. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
After the practice has taken place, how many practices usually comes within a song? How many practices did it take the original four to create Strutter?
So, I mean, this sounds crazy, but we were practicing for about like a month and a half before we recorded that, you know. So, but at that point in time, our set list was about like 4 or 5 songs. So in a 2-hour practice, we were playing like the same song like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So we were mastering those couple of songs, and then we always knew Strutter was the best one. That's what we would start and end with, just because we knew it sounded that good.
Yeah.
So then after that, we after we recorded that, we're like, okay, so if this sounds so good, let's just work on every other one. We got every other song sounding good, and maybe one day we'll record some covers, but from now on, we want to be an originals band,
Yeah. So speaking of those other songs, you've got one song that you're working on for your new single, but is there anything else in the vault that the band has an idea off of, just doesn't have that thing yet?
So mostly our set list consists of about 10 to 12 covers right now.
Okay.
And I think it's important for bands to do that in the early years, just because like I can draw influence. Like if we do Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent, I can be like, okay, so I like how Michael does the drums in the song. Maybe we could add it to our song.
Yeah.
So it's really like that.
I like that. Because when going anything or doing anything that's been done for a while, it's important to pay that homage to the people who kind of paved the way for you. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because rock and that entire scene has really been kind of not taken lightly by other people. You know what I mean? In different like cultures. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of always been like a downhill battle per se, and it's important to always keep that thing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been like kicked around. Like for a while it wasn't cool, and then it was, and it's like been back and forth like that. Mm-hmm. It's just had such a long history, and you have to find your spot in it.
So you've got a pretty decent set list. You said 12 covers, right?
You guys something about that.
Something about that? Do you guys think that you guys are going to create an EP or an album or anything like that consisting of those covers, or just drop them as singles?
I think what the goal is to really stray away from covers at this point, because we want to get our message out, not other people's.
Yeah.
I think what started was we wanted to introduce ourselves really quickly to an audience.
Yeah.
And I think that was the song to do it, because it's not the biggest Kiss song. It's not like we're doing like Rock and Roll All Night. We're doing like kind of like a lower down version. People get signed off covers sometimes.
Yeah,
if it's good
definitely.
Enough,
a lot of people have, especially like back in the early days of YouTube. Covers was like the quickest way to start them.
Oh, definitely. And that's what we like to. We like to record most of our covers and put them on YouTube.
Yeah, just to get your name out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's not even about a name thing per se. It's more so like to understand the technicals, as my friend Peter in the chat on Twitch says, to focus on the technical aspects of your band and the actual the engineer part of it, of coming all together.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I got another question for you, all right? It's coming from the chat. Do you guys feel like this kind of collaboration is vital to creativity?
I do.
Why do you say that? What makes a band in general just important for creatives to prosper?
Because there are musicians who have made a whole album just them. Like Prince's first album, every instrument was him. Mm-hmm. So he was the mastermind behind that, but he was only getting what was in his head. Because I could play a riff, and then Chris could be like, well, what if you did this instead, and it might sound a million times better? Because in my head, the first version sounded great, but in his head, he thought of a different way, and now it sounds a million times better. And I think if you're just thinking everything to yourself, it's gonna start to like blend together, and you're gonna get very similar sounding music. Nothing's gonna sound like
Excuse me.
favorite band, same as Marshall's or Chris's, or we all have different influences that affect our playing.
Exactly. So like each other's experience definitely comes into play when it comes to getting together. Would you say that?
Oh, definitely. That's where it's at.
Yeah, because like you said, you have different things about you guys and different experiences, different outlooks and different interpretations of things, and it's important to get those thoughts together. So when you have a final project, it's sought after by many and not just one type of person.
Exactly.
Ooh, we got another good question in the chat. So, they say, bringing up Prince is awesome. Do you pull a lot from different genres, or is it just rock?
So actually, I don't know what was up with me when I was younger, but when I first started getting guitar, my two favorite artists were Michael Jackson and Nirvana.
Oh, wow.
Two very opposite
yeah, that is very different from each other.
Yeah, so, I was learning Nirvana riffs, and then I would learn Michael Jackson riffs. So I definitely do pull some influence. Rock started out as blues. Rock wasn't a thing until blues guitar players started adding distortion to their guitars.
Yeah.
And you look at like people in the 70s, they were just playing blues songs with a lot of distortion.
Yeah.
It really wasn't rock or metal yet.
Yeah, I like that. Like, especially if you like kind of break down the Beatles a lot, you kind of hear that blues in it. You know what I mean?
And bands like Aerosmith, they're blues rock. They made it a genre.
It's a whole different genre. And speaking of genres and speaking of kind of breaking through, what are your guys' end goal? What's your legacy that you want to leave behind?
So, bands have their legacies, like Poison's legacies, like party hard and live long,
They have their
like
different mantra.
Yeah, I think the goal with this band is just to put people back in the mindset that rock and roll isn't dead. It's not taking old people off anymore.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason it's not at the forefront anymore. There has been those songs that broke through. Avenged Sevenfold has had a popular song or two in the past year. Stuff like that. But it's just, I think our ultimate goal is just to bring more people into the rock scene.
Yeah.
Because it's most people being introduced from their parents or seeing like a picture on Instagram. But if they actually hear a new band doing this, you're gonna be like, okay, well, if they're doing this and they're around my age, I could do it too.
Exactly. It's like that exposure is important for something that has gone through the ages throughout the entire world, because rock isn't just a U.S. thing. It's also a whole Europe thing, So this is a global dynamic that kind of just needs to be brought up again.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot of different genres right now that, like, comparatively speaking, have definitely spiked the interest of other people nowadays. You know what I mean? And
you also see a lot of like Miley Cyrus is putting out a Metallica cover album.
Yeah.
You see people starting to, because like some people get really ticked off about that, like, oh, Miley Cyrus making a Metallica album, that's horrible for the music. But I'm like, if you think about it, she's a huge pop star. Her fans are all like like pop fans. If they hear her doing a Metallica song, they'd be like, okay, well, what does the real song sound like? And they might like it.
Exactly, and then they're going to go explore and look for themselves.
Yeah, and so they might become like a huge Metallica fan because of Miley Cyrus.
And see, that's exactly where the homage aspect comes in when it comes to looking up and looking at the legacy of greats.
Yeah, no one person is going to make it without looking up to someone.
Exactly. And speaking of that idea of making it, is there ever a point where you've kind of, or, in the art industry, because I know this happens a lot in the rock world, like with a Motley Crue, this happened. The process of, quote unquote, selling out How does that like?
Hmm.
Does that put any fear in you guys if you guys wanted to go bigger, or is this just kind of like a home thing?
So the idea of selling out to me is completely changing your product to be more popular. And I'm sure most people would agree that's the idea of selling out. And, Metallica was a Black Album. It doesn't sound like Master of Puppets.
Mm-hmm.
Enter Sandman and Master of Puppets are not the same song. And what really gets to me is just like musicians advance, they grow old. Kill 'Em All came out 6 years before the Black Album. Kill 'Em All came out when Metallica was about like 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Black Album came out when they're about like 20, 25. Like, and you grow up, you don't make the same music. Kiss's first album
Exactly.
does not sound like their most recent album.
And I think that's
And
where a lot
that
of
just
people.
happens.
I think that's where a lot of people fall into the trap and signing into a label. Not that it's never like a good business idea or a good plan, but you fall into that trap because you have that ability, the longevity to strive for. But as that time changes, you also change as an artist. You go through different things. You draw from different inspirations, and just because it's not reaching the amount of people or reaching the same group of people that your record label wants you to reach doesn't mean that you shouldn't put out music anymore. It doesn't mean that you should stop.
Definitely, yeah. And we live in a modern society where back in the 70s, 80s, you needed a record label to get your music out there. We
Exactly.
live now where you can do it from your bedroom.
Exactly. It's very
You
easy.
you,
Everything
you need
is just right there at your fingertips, literally.
yeah, you need a record label to promote your music, to make merch, to sell it. You can do that yourself now, which is amazing because bands like Greta Van Fleet, modern rock bands, they're making it, and
Dude,
their first EP wasn't even a signed EP. They released that themselves.
Greta Van Fleet is awesome.
Oh, dude, they kill it
They're
every
like
single time.
they're our generation of Led Zeppelin. Like that's just the best I can describe them. They're awesome. I got hip to them
Yeah,
last summer and I played them at my birthday party or my 15th birthday party. It was so cool. Their music is
yeah,
like
definitely.
it's super campfire, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah, like you're just around with your friends having good times, and that's literally what rock and roll is all about, having good times with your friends.
And I think that got lost along the way because 70s and 80s, like Nothing But a Good Time,
Exactly.
Kickstart My Heart. Those songs were like, okay, we're here to have a good time. And then the 90s hit, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Green Day, those songs started to like bring the aspect of rock music down.
Exactly,
And then,
because it got confused with punk. That's what it
yeah,
was. It got
exactly.
confused with the punk sound. People
Yeah,
started
and it was
putting
just
punk and
like,
rock together.
and it flipped the music world on its head because 1999 it started off with Warrant's Cherry Pie being the most popular song, and then it ended with Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah,
Completely flipped the
exactly.
world over.
Like very different songs, same genres, but not even. But
Yeah,
because of the I don't want to say the ignorance of the general public, but because they weren't able to distinguish one from the other, it kind of got blended in with each other.
yeah, and I think nowadays I'm not sure that would happen if the rock music was in the forefront because before you had to buy CDs, you had to buy what's popular, what was in
Hmm.
stock. So some people were forced to buy these new CDs, and some of them liked it. But nowadays, I have an entire band's discography, every band's discography on my phone.
Exactly. There's
So,
literally so many different. It's like we said earlier. It's very easy to get different places and see different things nowadays.
yes, definitely. I can find a band for their Instagram and then listen to their whole discography, in the same day.
Yeah, and it's super cool. It's definitely super cool like that because it allows artists to get out there in different regions, different locations, and B, it allows the listener to find new music and new people to vibe to.
Exactly.
So I also got another question for my friend. So I was doing some people in your Instagram. I saw a few things that related to merch. Where can we find those things?
So I actually have a lot of it to my side here in case y'all ask.
Oh yes,
Um,
please show us.
so it's teespring.com/store/accident. It's in our link tree in our
Okay.
Instagram. So we got some face masks.
Oh
Pretty cool.
wow, very practical.
We got our logo sticker, and then we got our starter album cover sticker, and we just actually released a new T-shirt design. It's pretty cool. But if you want the classic, you get the Accident logo.
That's pretty cool, man. I like that. I like that you have different samples and different stickers, especially. I might have to cop a few of them from you.
Sounds good to us. All of it supports us. We're trying to not necessarily improve our equipment, but we just got a new PA. We were trying to buy microphones for it. That's what money goes towards, so we
Yeah.
can make a better listening experience. Because our PA right now is probably like $100. It's not going to sound that good.
Yeah.
So the better PA we have, the better videos we can make, and the better quality of everything we'll have, really.
So all of these profits, like, just definitely like help and promote the band as far as quality, grade, and productions are concerned.
Oh yeah, our little bit. We sold about like 4 or 5 T-shirts. All of that went towards a giveaway. Someone on our Instagram wanted. We gave them a signed poster, a shirt, a sticker, and a signed set list.
Okay.
So a lot of it's giving back, but it's helping us.
Speaking of giving back, what is it that Accident, the band, can do for the community, or what can the community do for the band, and vice versa?
So I think what we can do is just bring rock and roll back to North Virginia. Poison is from like an hour away. Kicks, they're from about 2 hours away. And you haven't heard of a band coming out of here in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like LA and stuff like that. So I think what we can do for the community is just bring people together and make rock music because it used to be like you'd bring an album to your friend's house and you'd listen and be like best friends forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that went away with streaming and everything. So we just want to be like that band that brings everyone back together. There could be someone who's like 50 at our show having a great time, and someone who's about 20, and they could be like having a full-on conversation about music they like.
Is it fair to say that you want the home style, like the home style edition of rock back? You want the home life back, and small town vibes of rock back.
Exactly. That's what we want. We don't want to be that big corporate band from LA.
Exactly, and I think stardom and that, like, going from the 90s and like the 80s, from the 90s to the 2000s. Excuse me, I can't talk. But going through those, people got lost in the stardom and got lost in the fam, and hence they sell out.
Exactly. And we just want to be like that humble band that we know where we're from. We know we're not Motley Crue. We know we're not Metallica. We're us.
Yeah.
We're here.
And speaking of like being hometown and like locally, have you guys ever due to Corona, because screw Corona. Like I don't want every episode to be talking about Corona, but wow, it's not something we can ignore. But have you guys looked at like doing some gigs downtown, like at the Bright Box or the Discovery Museum?
I have. I've dropped off a couple guitar picks of ours, and we're printing business cards to give out. But I mean, I have a little book full of venues within 30 minutes of us that we've gotten okay from. As soon as this COVID's over, as soon as we're applicable to play shows, they want us, And
That's
it's
super
like
dope.
people like Brightbox all the way to like playing in front of like an Anthony's Pizza,
Yeah, dude, that's actually super cool. Like I've never heard anybody like playing for like corporations like that. Like bright boxes and venues, yes. But like going out to like parking lots, yeah, that's super cool. That hasn't been done in a long time, man.
Oh no, I mean like people like they're not the most popular band, but they came out from like '89. Jackal, they made their whole career. They made a music video in the parking lot of a Kmart because Kmart wouldn't sell their stuff.
Yeah, and so like that definitely brings back the small town community aspect of rock and roll, because if you, like you said earlier, the movie moments, that kind of that's what it kind of encapsulates. It encapsulates everybody together, just rocking out, having a great time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's good, man. We got some more questions in the chat for you.
Awesome.
The last from Peter, the three best friends. The last live show for me was the Front Bottoms Champagne Jam, which was streamed. What are your thoughts on virtual concerts?
I actually am a big fan of them. It's not the same, obviously. You don't get that crowd. A lot of songs are based on the crowd's interaction with the band. So, you do lose that aspect. But it's almost like you're like the cameraman. You're up close and personal with the band. And, I've watched Kiss did one on New Year's Eve. LA Guns has done one. And they're fun,
Yeah.
It's like $10 and you just get to be up close and personal and get the same music.
And I feel like it also, yes, live concerts are super awesome. They're very personal, but the virtual concerts are still like, I feel like they hit a deeper meaning of personal because they don't have that fan reaction to feed off of. Everything comes from them and what and how they're feeling and what their mission is at that time.
Yeah, it is just raw emotion because it's just 4 or 5 guys up there doing their thing. They don't have 1,000 other people liking it. It's just them.
It's literally just
And
them taking over the world, basically.
yeah, it just adds a human aspect to like these big people.
Exactly, and like I think that's what's super cool about the virtual concerts, because Little Uzi Vert did one recently. I think it was like Christmas around that time, and I watched it, and it was very different from what I've seen like on videos and stuff, because I'd never been to a concert before, but I definitely got a more personal sense of everything, and I could definitely easily figure out like how he was feeling at that time. Like you said, it humanizes them.
Because no one really wants to do them. They want to get out in front of thousands of people and play. But, it's just like that. You got to do what you got to do. Because, musicians make music. When you can't do that, what do? That's why I think so many people it's like Metallica's coming out with a new album. They haven't come out with an album since 2016.
Yeah,
and I think it's just
Metallica,
like all the time. Like,
in the chat, Chill Trooper 22 said that Metallica did a really good virtual concert recently. Have you watched that or know anything about that?
They did 2 actually. They did an acoustic one and an electric one.
Oh, that's cool.
Through a bunch of drive-ins and stuff. Both of them were awesome. They very much set the bar for what other bands should be doing right now.
And especially because we're in so like unprecedented times, like streaming services and everything being online definitely has come in clutch for artists, because it's allowed them to still be productive and still like make ends meet for whatever they got going on personally.
Oh, definitely.
And not to like totally switch off topics here, but speaking of acoustic, have you guys dabbled in the acoustic side of rock yet?
So our goal is to, Poison has Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Everyone has like Aerosmith has Dream On.
Yeah.
They do. Everyone has like that bring her down in the show where everyone can just like throw up their lighter, their phone. And we do want to do that.
Yeah.
We don't want to be one of those bands just like, okay, so straight rock, no slowing down, just like a thrash show the whole night. We're like, we don't want to do that. We want to show our emotion through our music, and not all of it can be shown electrically. Because like if I'm up there with an electric guitar through a Marshall amp, I can hide my mistakes. Acoustic, you don't hide anything. It's all there.
It's very raw. Like it's like you are literally putting yourself like taking yourself from up high and bringing yourself back down here to connect with your fans. It's that level of intimacy right there with you and your fans. That's exactly what you want to go for if you're going to do anything acoustic. You know what I mean?
And I think that's why like the MTV Unplugged series was such a huge thing, because you were seeing these huge megastars playing electrically, and then you see them die down with acoustic guitars, and they're still the same band.
We have to give praise not only to the MTV Unplugged series, but just to MTV and rock in general. Like,
oh yeah, hair metal would not have been a thing.
Exactly, they did, especially like from '89 all the way up to 2000s, the late 2000s, and MTV was there. Every album, every single dropped. You saw it the next day. They were doing great at promotions and everything.
Oh, definitely. And you bring it up, like in the 80s, every band was trying to make a music video that would resonate with people. And some people did it, some people didn't do it. And, you couldn't make it without a music video. And I think nowadays, people aren't doing it. I don't know why, because we have a phone, it's a better camera than what they had in the 80s for millions of dollars.
It's very simple and very easy to just hit record and be like, all right, guys, let's do this.
And it might not look the best, it might not sound the best, but hey, you're giving a visual a product to your music.
Exactly,
It's not
like,
just an audible thing. There's a visual aspect to it now.
because a lot of people are visual learners, not necessarily visual learners, but they just grasp things clearer when it's shown to them.
Yes, exactly. That's why concerts are such a big thing. When they can see the band behind the music, it just
Exactly.
adds that layer.
They see exactly how the band is and how they perform. Because when you perform, I feel like you're at your truest self. You are like, you're in the moment, you're just raw talent, raw emotion, and it's all just seeping out from your fingertips to your instrument of choice.
Yes, exactly.
So, with that being said, as far as performing and things, whenever you're performing, is there like competition aspect in between you and your bandies?
We try not to. I do. As the lead guitar player, your goal is to show off. But you should know your place in the band.
Yeah.
There are bands that fail because of that. But we each get our set times. If we finish a song after that song, I get my guitar solo. That's what I get for the night.
Exactly.
That's my like 2 or 3 minutes to shine, and then we come back in as a full band, and we might drop out for a bass solo or a drum solo. Something like that.
And even still, like, is there
But
just like a, is there a time or like just a time in performing where like you can feel like the tension between your bandmates, and like you're like, all right, he's drumming pretty fast and I got to strum faster, things like that.
that definitely happens at the end of a song because the end of a song is almost the most important part because if you can end a song right then the next song should be started right.
Yeah.
So if Michael's over here like smashing his cymbals, I'm like, okay, I can't just like strum. I have to like work my hand out.
Yeah, because like you said, at the end of the song, it's like that fourth quarter moment. Like either shut the crowd out and just go home, or you just make the crowd roar and beg for more.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what it's all about. So, is there anything that you would like to say to your fans out here?
Just what we say all the time, just thank you. Bands don't go anywhere without their fans, and we're a fan-based band. We appreciate everyone who buys merch. Even if you don't support us financially, if you watch our YouTube videos, like our Instagram posts, that's supporting us.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. You can support someone for free, interacting with their Instagram stories, adding us to an algorithm,
Yeah.
Following our TikTok, our YouTube, our Instagram, stuff like that.
So, is there anything else you want to promote?
Just all of our social media is at Accident Band, our YouTube. Streams after only being out for like a month and a half at this point. Not even that. So, just the more you stream our music, it's just like, it just gives us like that sense of accomplishment, because like financially, we're not making any money off that song because we're not at millions of streams. We're only at like 100 or so. But it just like means like people are actually like this and they want to hear more. Because I get DMs on Instagram and be like, dude, I love this song. I can't wait for the next stuff, and it's just like, it's that human aspect again. It's just like, I'm not a corporate band. I'm a person and I enjoy doing this.
Exactly.
And it just makes me feel that much better that people want me to keep doing this. Because, there's moments of doubt when you're a musician because you're like, man, I can't play this song. Or like you don't feel inspired at all. But then like you get one of those messages and you're like, wow, people actually
and it
like
just helps
this.
you keep going because you realize that people are out there and they're seeing what you're doing and they're messing with it just as much as you are.
Exactly. That's where it's at.
And before we end tonight, I've got 2 more questions for you, right?
All right,
One from
sounds
the
good.
chat, from the 3 best friends. What's your favorite film about music and why is it not Whiplash? Have you seen the movie? It's with J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller.
So I personally have never seen Whiplash. I've seen like the clip everyone's seen, the drum solo part.
Yeah, the drum solo.
I've watched that. But my favorite movie to do with music is, people, probably modern day people would say The Dirt, because it was a good movie.
Yeah, I watched
I
that
think
on Netflix.
my favorite biopic is Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash biopic.
Yes.
It was just like, it wasn't like a big glamorous rock star. It it was a depressed country singer who had his demons, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I
It
think that's
humanized them.
exactly that's what biopics do so well. You know, like the Bohemian Rhapsody. A lot of people didn't know Freddie had all this pressure on him. Like the
Exactly.
scene where the Hot Space interviewer is like just like cameras on him, people asking him questions. Like people don't know how that feels unless they're in that spotlight.
Yep.
So it makes you really wonder, like, wow, he was really feeling like that, and people didn't care. You
Yeah.
know, it makes them feel like another person to you, not just. It doesn't make them feel like Freddie Mercury. It makes them feel
Exactly.
like someone you're sitting next to.
And like, I feel like for a lot of times, those people who are fortunate enough to get into the spotlight and to get into that limelight, they want out of it just as much as they still want in it. You know what I mean? Like, or
Mm-hmm.
I guess the better way to describe that or to explain that is they want out of it just as much as they benefit from being in it.
Exactly, and I think that's where some like Kurt Cobain, we keep bringing him up, but like he did not want all that fame he got,
Mm-hmm.
and you know they're the biggest band since the Beatles.
Yep. And it's
You know, and he
you
didn't
can't
want that, and
control if
it
people like
showed.
what you like. You know, you
Yeah,
can't control if people like what you're putting down.
and you know it does hit people hard, and you know it obviously hit him very hard.
Yeah.
You know,
And my next question for you is: we've talked about the band, we've talked about what you do for the band, and everybody's individual talents. But what is the band? Where did the name Accident come from?
so the name Accident, the first name I had for a band was it was Rose Gold
Rose Gold?
because I wanted to be a grunge band, and I was like, oh, that's a cool grunge name. And you know now we're a hard rock band, but the name Accident came because it was a shower thought. Really, I was just sitting in my head. I was just throwing names. I was like, accident, accident, accident. How can I was just like I wrote down a bunch of words on a piece of paper. I was like, how can I make this its own thing? Because you know, if you spell something different like extreme, but you take off the first X, it's not the same thing. It's a
Exactly.
whole word. It's a whole new word. So I was just like accident, accident. I was like, what if I add that? It doesn't change the word. It's still accident, but it makes it that much cooler, you know? Because like kiss, the word is still kiss. If you Google kiss, you know, you're gonna get a different result.
Mm-hmm.
But if you Google accident spell like that, you know, you're gonna get.
You're
It's
gonna
not the
get
same thing.
that,
It's
you
its
know?
own thing.
There's
Yeah,
no
like
other
answer.
accident. It's accident.
Yeah, and I thought it was like someone has to have taken this. You know, I looked it up and I was just like, this is really an original idea that was that good that I wanted to name a whole band after.
Yeah.
Because that could have been the name of an album or a song. But I was like, this is our legacy. This is our name.
And you know, it's very cool to have that broadness of creativity in order to get that name, because your name is, like you said, your legacy and what's going to carry you for the rest of the time.
Because some bands could have amazing music, but if their name or their image isn't good, people aren't going to listen. Because then they're not going to go see you in concert. Then they can't support you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you have to have a product that people want to listen to. Like, because like you think of Metallica, that's such a cool name. If you think of Poison, that's a cool name. You know, it's just like you need that aspect. Because like a musician, like an acoustic player, like a country singer, you can just make it your name. Because you know that's all you need to be impressed by in those genres. But in something as applicable as rock, where there's so many bands, you need to be different. You can't, unless you're
Exactly.
like Ozzy Osbourne or something like that.
You can't just go off on your own name, because rock is embedded with people and not just one person.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Ozzy was in Black Sabbath before, so he already had a
Exactly.
name.
He already had an image built off of other people, though.
Exactly. So a band is never just you; it is your other people. That's why it's the Alice Cooper band. It's not Alice Cooper.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm glad that we could have you tonight, man.
I'm honored. This is my first interview. It's a pretty good one to start with.
I appreciate that, man. You know, Imaginary Project is here for the locale, for the people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we want to be able
Yeah.
to introduce other people to you and introduce yourself to other people and help get your name out there. So it was a pleasure. It was exciting to have you on the show, bro.
Thank you so much.
Of course. You have a great night.
Oh, you too, man.
Have a good one. Rock on.
I'll see you later.
See ya,
See ya.
dude.
Rock on.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the episode 5 of Imaginary Projects interview. We had awesome time with Bryce L. Guitar, the lead of Accident today. And we're excited to have brought to you guys this tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have fun.